Well, welcome back. It's part 3. Final time. Funny seeing you here. Well, we're back into it. Alright. So first one, Maybach. I'm gonna give them a great. Solely for their luxury and their focus on luxury. They do what they do good. Well, they do what they do great. Their cars, while Maybach is owned by Mercedes, and I want to say they are glorified Mercedes, but I think that's a good term. Because if you're like higher than something already good, you're doing a good job. I think you're doing a good job. And Maybach, just reminiscing in their luxury. Mazda. Legendary. I was debating between great and legendary, but between the RX-3, the RX-7, the Cosmo, just all the rotaries, including, I guess, the RX-8, because I don't think the RX-8 was nearly as bad as people think it was. By no means was it an RX-7. And between the Mazda speeds and even the regular car, my first car was a Mazda Protege. Pretty good car. It had 110,000 miles, 115,000 miles on it. For an 01 in, I think that was 2015. So 16 odd years later. 17 odd years later. I was thinking, I was like, maybe I was younger than that. But no, that makes sense. That makes sense. I don't have anything bad to say about Mazda. Their partnership with Ford was well done. I don't think they really tarnished themselves in really any crazy manner. Mclaren, they're just getting their feet in the door. They've already set themselves as a legendary car company. Between just the 12C, obviously all their F1 cars, all of the numbered cars, I don't even want to go through all of them. The 650, the 720 as of recent, but 675 LT, all their numbered cars, fantastic. You have the P1, the F1, the P1 GTR. You've got the Senna. I think they're all fantastic cars. Again, the reason Bugatti's down here is because I think these brands, the luxury hypercar, sports car brands, do what Bugatti does not. I think Bugatti set the precedent. I don't think they can or ever will. Bugatti started, well, they made the Devo, and I think that's alright. But Mercury, atrocious. I feel bad doing that with Lincoln down here and Ford in here. I feel the same way about them that I did with Buick. They were just a middle ground that didn't need to exist. I get that they're kind of based off their lower brand, like Lincoln's based off of like Ford as well, and Mercury was as well. I get that Buick is kind of somewhat based on Chevys some of the time. Same with Cadillac some of the time. I don't think they needed to be there. I think they were more expensive versions of the base model. I feel like their whole brand, both Buick and Mercury, could have and should have been a trim level versus a whole different car brand. I think Cadillac and Lincoln separate themselves enough that they do deserve to be a separate entity. But I don't think either of those do. MG? Great. They've always been kind of little British cars, obviously, that's what they are. But I almost had an MGB until it burnt down before I could buy it. So, probably for the better. But I think they're good little cars, fun little things. There's an MGB in the next town over from me. Mini, I'm going to put in great. I think they've leveled out. If I was just basing it off the 1960 Mini, legendary, and a lot of their kind of rally cross deals, yeah, but I can't get down with that center speedo. I can't. That's not a thing I can do. think it's dumb. I think it's terribly dumb. Mini, if you ever decide to make a regular, normal, like digital dash and get rid of that stupid thing, I'm willing to buy one of your cars. It's really dumb. I think they're great cars, but like overall, besides that, I'm just I hate it. Hate it. Mitsubishi, going in good. I think they well deserved to be higher because of the Lancer. They'll go higher because of the Lancer and the Eclipse. But nowadays with the Mirage, the Eclipse SUV, and a lot of their other now legend or not wow now a lot of their other SUVs, the Pajero was cool, and a lot of their other kind of cars I think were cool. I think Mitsubishi's flatlined. I think with the end of the Lancer evolution, at least, I I think that was a terrible decision. I think they're morons for doing it, and I don't blame them if they fall out of existence. I don't think they will. I think they've made a terrible mistake, and I'm living on their greatness through their history. Morgan, they're cool cars. I think the whole wood thing is interesting, but I don't know if I'd put them for great. They're cool things. I'd love to drive one. Not a thing. Nissan, gotta be legendary. From just Godzilla, the Z's, that the Patrol. Um, I like the Titan. I'm a big fan of the diesel Titan. Noble, passable. I think what was the N600 or M600? That what Forza called a hypercar. It looks great. I don't know if it is great. From all I've heard is Noble's an okay brand. They get a passable. Oldsmobile, atrocious. Again, I don't. I'll give them a bad. Because a lot of their older, like 60s cars, the big old land barges, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Nowadays, not. Well, I mean they're gone now nowadays, but I meant like they're more recent cars. But no, they went under for a reason. Opal, passable. It's a German Chevy. While I do give Chevy that, I don't think Opal nearly has the heritage. I know they worked with Vauxhall, and they had that speeder, or I forget which one's which. I think it was the Vauxhall Roadster and like the Opal Speedster. I might have those backwards or something like that, but I think those are cool cars. And Opal makes decent little economy cars. Peugeot, Sebastian Loeb. All I'm gonna say. And the Hansons, Rallycross. All right, fine. Plymouth, passable. Roadrunner is cool. Barracuda was cool. They'll go to good. I don't really know much about them other than that. I mean, obviously, like the big old Roadrunner with the wing. Um, you got the kind of wider, older Roadrunner. You got the Cuda, the Barracuda, Pontiac. Pontiac bad. The old GTO Judges were cool. The old 60s GTOs were cool. Just about everything else they did, I think, was pretty bad. Pretty atrocious, in fact. But I'm letting them ride on bad because of two good cars. Porsche from Stuttgart, legendary. I really, really, really want a 964 or a 933. I really want one of those two. 964 preferably. I'm a big fan of Porsche. I was also pretty stoked with the 918, just based on the 718. Just, I love Porsche. I'm a big German head, as you might know with Opel. They can fall. Chrysler, atrocious. Ram, bad. I'm not giving Ram any credit. They're going down to terrible there. Because even though the T-Rex is cool, I consider that a Dodge. Dodge is the one that is kind of psycho crazy with the Trackhawk, the Challenger, the Charger, the Viper, and the T-Rex. I consider those Dodge ideas. The other brand may have made it, and it might have been under Stellantis, but it was a Dodge idea. Dodge is the reason it's cool. Ram, you guys are awful. Renault, good. The Clio comes to mind. The Clio Williams, they're F1 cars. I don't know much about them. Well, I'll put them up to great. I don't know much about them. Same as with a lot of the other French brands we don't get here in the United States. I know that they're cool. Well, I say cool, but French. They're very French. They've got that atmosphere. Same as Citroen, DS, Peugeot. The Twizy F1 was cool. The Laguna was cool. All the Clios were cool. The mid-engine one especially. Like I said, the Clio Williams. Yeah, I think they make cool cars. Rolls-Royce. Again, great. Same reason as Maybach. I think they do a fantastic job at what they do. To me, they haven't cemented their place like a lot of these other car brands. I think they're pretty concrete, but they're not there. They're really close. I watched a documentary on Rolls making, I forget what car it was, but it was completely all the dash and door panels and everything were encrusted in diamonds, and they had a professional diamond setter set every single diamond in the car, and I think they had something of odd near 200 diamonds in the car or something, like across, and they sent it back to them like 17 times. The whole door panel. They inspected it. Wasn't good enough for them. Rover, passable. I don't know how long Rover's been out of business. I don't know much about them. They're alright. They get a good for the same reason kind of the French brands are here. But not. They get dropped down a little bit because they're out of business. It's not Range Rover. It's just Rover. Rough. The Porsche tuner. I've always been a fan of the original versus the rough. The rough Yellowbird's cool. I don't think anything else they do is that great. Saab. Oh, hi Buick. Welcome back. Saab. Great. I always wanted a 9.3. I love that ignition in the middle. It'll turn and you put it down right in the center versus up near the door or the steering wheel. I love that center ignition. I think that's one of the coolest features. Saline, I'm gonna give them bad. Nah, I'll give them passable. Cause I don't think they did anything imaginative. I mean, they did the S7, and they did the, I think it was called the Raptor as well. I think they glorified Mustangs, and I don't know if I get down with that. Scion was always one of the, I'm gonna give them a good. It was always one of the car brands I wanted as a child, just because their commercials were always ridiculous. Between the TC, the XB, the XD, and the FRS, just a couple cars that aren't really, well, the FRS is kind of special, and the TC is kind of, the other two aren't, but they always marketed themselves so crazy, and I always wanted one. Ferrari. Legendary. I don't have to say anything about them. Seat. Little Spanish brand. Good. Another rapid fire. Shelby. Legendary. Mr. Care Shelby. And I would acclaim the Ford GT kind of as part of Shelby, along with obviously his cars, the Daytona, the Cobra, and his Mustang tunes were cool, unlike Salene's. Good on you, Carol. Skoda. Rally? Cool. But you're just good. Smart. They impressed me with their crash ratings, because they're pretty pretty strong. If you've ever seen them. Mercedes owns Smart, if you didn't know. They did a promotional video a couple years ago that they crashed a S-Class into a Smart. And both cars were fine. They did a promotional video for the safety on them because S-Class is well known for its high safety, being a 5-star rated car. What's not known is I believe the Smart car is also a 5-star safety rating. It is as safe as an S-Class Mercedes. Yes, you might probably roll because of the short wheelbase, but the car holds together. The whole car is essentially a giant roll cage. This was the brand I had no idea on, so we're going to skip. Subaru. Oops, not good. They are legendary. For the same reason Mitsubishi's not. Again, Subaru still makes cool cars. They've got their heritage. They've got the old cars, the 360, all of the Imprezas, the legacy. Just being Subaru. They're good. They deserve it. They need to be there. Suzuki. They're good. They're solid. They're more well known here in the States than Isuzu cars. They do more. Still not quite there. Tata. I don't know anything about them personally, so they get passable. I know they're an Indian car brand that do make some interesting cars. Tesla. This one's probably going to be controversial. Good. While I do actually think Tesla cars are pretty great, and I think they probably will be the future leading forward, I am on the fence about electric cars, but I'm leaning towards them. Because of the power I've seen from the Volkswagen IDR, and just the Teslas in general. The Tesla trucks. Even the Cybertruck that kind of was publicly embarrassed. I think Tesla's doing electric right. Where they fault is I think their cars, which isn't really a fault of their own because electric, I think are too expensive. But what is their fault is I think build quality is terrible. I don't know how often it is. I have seen a lot of publicity about their terribleness or their terrible build quality specifically. I won't blame them for the technology because we've just kind of started. So they can't get flack for that. Toyota. Legendary. Again, same reason. Celica. Supra. The 8.6. The AE, oh, I should say AE 8.6, but the actual 8.6 as well. Between their economy cars that do perform, even the Corollas now. Frederick Osbo's Drift Corolla, his Supra now, their performance in Le Mans, I mean, Toyota deserves it. They're trophy trucks. Okay. I'll shut up. No more. TVR. Between the Cigaris and the Sabera, I don't know how to pronounce it. The Cerebra, Sabera, they're okay. I think they just announced a new car somewhat recently. I want to say it was at the end of 2019, so maybe they're not going to produce it with COVID. That happened. I didn't catch it. It looked fantastic. Their new car, I think TVR is on the upbound, but I think they're just alright. I think they're Lotus's discount cousin, but with their new car, they can be better. Vauxhall. I'll give them a good over Opal. Because I've seen the Astra, I've seen the Corsa, I've seen whatever I said before, the Roadster, whatever its official name is called. I think Vauxhall makes alright cars. Again, they're a company we don't get here in the States. But from what I have seen, they're alright. A lot of this is kind of a lot of these other European brands like Vauxhall, TVR, Seat, Skoda, and like the French brands, Peugeot, DS, Citroën, and Noble, Rover, Tata. I mean, Tata's not really British, but again, Daewoo. A lot of these guys are based on not actually knowing about them or seeing a car. So it's just information I know from video games, reading online articles, stuff like that. So some of it's biased. Feel free to debate me. Volkswagen, great. I think Volkswagen is stepping in the right direction. I mean, not necessarily with. I think they were before electric. They might be. I don't think they're proven yet in electric, as Tesla kind of is. But I know they were stepping kind of in the right direction pre-Dieselgate and now kind of post-Dieselgate. I think they were stepping in the right direction, but I don't know if they are anymore. Because again, what comes to mind is Tanner Faust's Drift Passat, allowing him to do that. Beetle isn't really a cool car, but it's an iconic car. The Corrado, the Scirocco, obviously the Golf. I think they're good cars, but I don't know if I can put my stance in saying that they're legendary cars. Iconic, for sure. Legendary, I don't know. I would label a couple of them as legendary, such as the Mark 1, Mark 2 Golf, the Beetle, like that, the Corrado, but all of them, no. There's not a chance. Volvo, they're also getting a good. They've had a very roller coastery history from the 240 to kind of slumping to back to the 850R to slumping to kind of the more modern like V70 stuff like that. I've always enjoyed Volvos. Volvos have been a solid car brand, and they've had a lot of highs. Again, kind of with touring car racing, they've had some success, but I respect Volvo. I think they're a great brand. W Motors aren't they're I want to say fake car, but it's not fake. They made like 7 of them or something. I don't even remember the name of it. It's the car that flew in the Fast and Furious car that they had to get out of the one bank vault in, I think that was Fast and Furious 7. Or not the bank vault, the like penthouse loft that they drove across and flew it through the buildings. That's a W Motors. I think they're terrible. They're like shells of cars that are super expensive for no reason. I feel that they're even a worse thing than a Bugatti because they've been claimed to be so much. They've got diamonds in the headlights for no reason. Zenvo, great. Wait, I was thinking of Apollo, but I'm gonna give them the good. I was thinking of Apollo, but I am thinking of the Zenvo with, I think it's something R, that it's got the tilt rear wing on it, that as it corners, it's got a giant rear wing like the McLaren P1 GTR that just tilts. It just does. It just goes. The whole car does it. And I think that's crazy. We finished I don't know how many brands there were, I didn't count. There you go, from car brands that went defunct to modern super sellers. We've got our kind of big chunk in legendary and great because they've done good, along with a lot of, I'd say the good and passable cars are mediocre cars to bad of Jeep, Oldsmobile, and Pontiac, terrible of Bugatti, Daewoo, Buick, Maserati, and Ram, atrocious is Fiat, Mercury, Chrysler, whatever this guy is, it's only down there because I don't know what it is, so I apologize for that car company, and W Motors. If I had to pick out my probably top 3, Audi, Ford, McLaren. Ferrari would be very close behind. Mazda would be very close behind. So would Nissan. So would Subaru. But I would say Audi, Ford, and McLaren are my top 3. Appreciate your time. Feel free to leave a like if you liked. Remember to subscribe so that you can see more of this kind of content and plenty of other automotive stuff. I love doing it. I'd love to do more. I'd love to get my hands on behind the wheel of some of these kind of crazier cars. Just kind of get my hands on regular cars, like regular car reviews. I'm going to be doing a lot more automotive stuff in the future. Leave a like, subscribe, and absolutely feel free to comment me in the, or debate me in the comments. But yeah, have a good night. Peace. Alright, we back out here.